The clash of steel pierces the morning mist. Blood sprays across the wooden deck as men cry out in pain and fury. In the heart of this chaos, two figures lock in mortal combat. Lieutenant Robert Maynard of the Royal Navy and the most feared pirate of the Atlantic, his wild black beard still smoking from the fuses woven within it. "Damnation seize my soul if I give you quarter," rose Edward Teach, Blackbeard himself, as he swings his cutlass with terrifying force, shattering Maynard's sword near the hilt. The lieutenant stumbles backwards, seemingly defenseless, against the pirate's killing stroke. The smile flickers beneath Blackbeard's infamous beard as he raises his blade. But this is not the end that Lieutenant Maynard envisioned when he set his trap on Ocracoke Island on November 22nd, 1718. Welcome back to the Fireside Storyteller, where today we witness the final stand of history's most notorious pirate. If you've joined us for our previous explorations of Blackbeard's rise to power, his capture of the Queen Anne's Revenge, his audacious blockade of Charleston, and the relentless hunt that brought these two warriors face to face, you know the stakes of this deadly encounter. But what truly happened in those blood-soaked moments? Was this simply justice delivered, or maybe something more complex? And did Blackbeard's influence truly end with his death, or did something darker begin? Gather close as we unravel the mystery of Blackbeard's last stand, a tale where official heroism hides shadows of political intrigue, and where a man's death may have birthed something immortal. Dawn had barely broken over the shallow waters of Ocracoke Inlet. Lieutenant Major's sloops, the Jane and the Ranger, had navigated the treacherous North Carolina shoals under the cover of darkness, guided by pilots familiar with every hidden sandbar and submerged hazard. Blackbeard is no longer using the massive warship Queen Anne's Revenge. She now captains the easier-to-navigate sloop Adventure. It lay at anchor in a protected cove, her crew of 18 men sleeping off the previous night's revelry. What had they celebrated? Perhaps the spoils of recent prize? Perhaps simply the brotherhood of outcasts? Maybe they were growing too comfortable or regular with the trading arrangement with Governor Eden of North Carolina. Whatever the cause, their guard was down. A fatal error for men with prices on their head. A lookout shout shattered the morning quiet. Two vessels approaching. The Adventure stirred into life as bleary-eyed pirates grabbed weapons and peered across the misty waters. Blackbeard himself emerged on deck, his imposing figure unmistakable even at a distance. According to witness accounts later collected by Captain Charles Johnson, the pirate squinted through an approaching vessel through a spyglass and laughed. "Merely merchant vessels," he declared, seeing few men visible on the decks. "Easy pickings, lads." But Lieutenant Maynard had crafted his deception with precision. The bulk of his forces remained hidden below decks, creating the illusion of lightly manned trading vessels, a spider's web spun specifically for Blackbeard. As the two vessels drew closer, recognition dawned in Blackbeard's eyes. These were no merchants. The Adventure's cannons roared to life, sending a devastating broadside into the Ranger. Captain Hyde fell instantly, his body torn apart by grape shot. The Jane suffered casualties as well, but Maynard's strategy held. Most of his men remained protected below, waiting for the signal. Blackbeard's sloop, the Adventure, maneuvered alongside the Jane, grappling hooks biting into the wood as Blackbeard, believing he faced minimal resistance, led his boarding party with his pistols blazing and his cutlass drawn. "Now!" Maynard's command cut through the gunsmoke as hidden forces erupted from below decks, transforming the seemingly undermanned vessel into a deadly trap. The deck of the Jane became a killing floor. Sometimes our movies display drama and action, but these men fought with desperate intensity, knowing that surrender meant only the gallows. Pistols discharged at point-blank range. Blades slashed through flesh. The cries of the wounded mingled with the crash of the waves against the hulls. This was real. This was vicious and violent. Both captains knew immediately that this was the end of one type or the other. Through this chaos, Blackbeard and Maynard sought each other like lodestones, like north and south of a magnet. Two men destined to write a final chapter of a bloody saga. They met at the center of the storm. Maynard moving with discipline and precision of naval training, Blackbeard advancing with terrifying confidence that made his very name a weapon. The pirate fired first, his pistol flashing in the morning light. The ball missed Maynard's head by inches, perhaps deflected by an unseen hand of fate. The lieutenant returned fire, but struck only Blackbeard's coat. With firearms spent, both men drew their swords, steel clanging against steel as tested each other's skill and strength. Blackbeard fought with savage power, enough force to cleave a man in two. Maynard parried desperately until, with bone-jarring impact, the pirate's blade shattered his sword near the hilt. Stumbling backward, the lieutenant appeared defenseless. I imagine Blackbeard recognized a usual sense of victory. I wonder, did he imagine he would grow even more fearsome after dispatching the king's chosen hunter? If so, his triumph was premature. As Blackbeard raised his cutlass for a killing stroke, Maynard drew a concealed weapon, and he shot with his free hand. The shot struck true, yet incredibly, Blackbeard fought on. Seemingly supernatural will drove the pirate to continue despite his wounds. What unfinished business kept his spirit tethered to this mortal struggle? The two men grappled at the heart of the battle, blood from both combatants mingling on the deck. Then, sensing their leader's peril, Maynard's men converged on Blackbeard from all sides. 20 sword cuts, 5 pistol balls. This was the terrible price required to finally bring down Edward Teach. As he fell to his knees, some accounts claim his final words were addressed to Maynard. "Well done, lad." A warrior's acknowledgement before darkness claimed him. Other witnesses reported something far more unsettling in the pirate's final moments. As his lifeblood soaked into the wooden deck, Blackbeard allegedly whispered something that chilled the souls of those near enough to hear, a reference to hidden treasures where only the dead may find them, or perhaps a promise that death itself would not end his voyage, magnifying his visceral persona even in his last breath. Whatever his final utterance, Blackbeard's severed head soon hung from the bowsprit of the Maynard sloop, grisly proof of a mission accomplished. His earthly immortality began immediately in the rumors of his imagery. His headless body, when cast into the water of Ocracoke Inlet, is said to have swum 3 times around the ship before sinking into the depths. A sailor's superstition? Perhaps. But fishermen at Ocracoke would claim for centuries afterward that on certain misty mornings, a headless figure could be seen swimming in those same waters, searching eternally for something lost. Lieutenant Maynard returned to Virginia in triumph, Blackbeard's severed head swinging from the bowsprit like a grisly lantern. Governor Alexander Spotswood welcomed the victorious party with public celebrations and private satisfaction. a dangerous mission successfully concluded, a notorious pirate eliminated, and perhaps most gratifying of all, a political victory scored against North Carolina, his rival. The official narrative proclaimed justice served and order restored to colonial waters. Yet beneath this neat conclusion, uncomfortable questions swirled like currents in the Ocracoke Inlet. Why had Blackbeard, a master strategist who had evaded capture countless times before, been caught so unprepared? Why had this fearsome crew dwindled to merely 18 men? And why had he settled under Governor Eden's protection in North Carolina, rather than continuing his profitable marauding? Some historians suggest Blackbeard had accepted a king's pardon earlier in 1718, attempting to retire from privacy. Others propose a mere intriguing possibility that Blackbeard operated as an unofficial privateer under Eden's authority, creating plausible deniability for the colony while disrupting competing colonial shipping. If true, this transforms Maynard's missions from law enforcement to political assassination. Was Blackbeard eliminated not for his crimes, but because he knew too much about colonial power struggles? Did his partnership with Governor Eden threaten larger imperial interests? Whatever the truth, Blackbeard's influence only grew after his death. His severed head, displayed in Hampton, Virginia, for years, became both warning and a macabre attraction. Yet even this grim relic eventually vanished in history's shadows, his final resting place unknown, as if Blackbeard refused to provide closure even in death. In the vacuum left by historical uncertainty, legends proliferated. Tales of Blackbeard's ghost haunting Ocracoke emerged among local fishermen who reported spectral lights in Teach's Hole, supposedly marking the pirate's restless spirit searching for his missing head. Even today, visitors claim to hear phantom splashing and whispered curses when fog shrouds the inlet. Most persistent of all are stories of Blackbeard's buried treasure. Despite no historical evidence that Teach ever buried his plunder, generations have searched the Carolina coast for wealth supposedly hidden where only Blackbeard and the devil know. Some treasure hunters reported finding maps with cryptic clues. Others claim to have been driven away by supernatural guardians protecting the pirates' gold. I even tell my own scouts a story of pirates, and I learned this story while living in Virginia. Archaeological discoveries continue reshaping our understanding of Blackbeard. The 1996 discovery of what is believed to be Queen Anne's Revenge off North Carolina provide tangible connections to the man behind the legend. Each artifact recovered, from cannons to medical instruments, offers new glimpses into the complex reality of Edward Teach. Far from an uneducated brute, evidence indicates he was literate, strategically brilliant, and possibly even interested in medical science. His fearsome persona may have been precisely that, a calculated performance designed to terrify victims into surrendering without a fight, minimizing casualties on both sides. So who was the real Edward Teach? A criminal justly eliminated? An operative sacrificed when no longer useful? Or something more complex, a man navigating the brutal realities of his time through whatever means necessary? The historical record offers no definitive answer. Perhaps that uncertainty explains other continued fascination with Blackbeard. In the gaps between documented facts, we project our own understanding of power, freedom, and justice, transforming a historical figure into something approaching a modern mythology. If today's journey through Blackbeard's final battle has kindled your interest in the golden age of piracy, maybe consider exploring the earlier tales of his rise to power, the capture of Queen Anne's Revenge, his daring blockade of Charleston, and the relentless hunt that brought him to Ocracoke. In future stories, we'll venture into the Pirate Republic of Nassau and explore other legendary figures who sailed these waters, men and women, both historical and fictional. I invite you to join our storytelling community by subscribing to the Fireside Storyteller. Each week, we explore history's uncertainties, seeking truths that conventional narratives overlook. If you enjoyed tonight's journey, please consider leaving a like and sharing your thoughts below. Your perspective adds to the tapestry of interpretation that keeps historical figures alive in our collective imagination. Until next time, remember that history's greatest mysteries aren't found in what we know with certainty, but in questions that continue to haunt us centuries later. The truth about Blackbeard may never be fully revealed, and perhaps that's exactly as the old pirate would have wanted it.